Today, we're diving into a really cool idea that connects some of our most powerful human experiences. I'm talking about deep desire, strange dreams, you name it, all through one single elegant model.
It sounds like the setup for a joke, right? But the answer actually pulls back the curtain on a fundamental pattern in how our brains manage energy and motivation. Stick with me and you'll see the hidden connection. It's pretty amazing.
So, let's start with something we can all recognize, a universal pattern of building and releasing tension that's really the foundation for this whole thing, the arc of desire.
Now, most of us kind of get this sequence. It kicks off with desire, it builds up through arousal and engagement, it hits that peak at climax, and then, boom, it resolves into relaxation. But don't just see the steps, see the shape. It's a clear rise, a peak, and then a fall. This isn't just a to-do list. It's a dynamic pattern of building and then releasing tension.
A framework called the Brain Kinematics Model, or BKM, actually gives this pattern a name, the motivational strain arc. Now, it's really important to think of strain here not as bad stress, but more like, well, motivational energy. It's the juice that pushes you toward a goal. And this arc, it's the fundamental building block of the entire BKM way of looking at the mind.
Okay, but life is rarely that simple, right? That clean, perfect arc doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Nope. It's constantly interacting, and a lot of the time competing with all the other motivational forces rattling around in your brain.
And this is just a brilliant illustration of that conflict. The sexual arc, well, it needs your rest and digest system to get going, to build arousal. But a fear or anxiety arc, that triggers the fight or flight system. The two are basically enemies neurologically. You literally can't be fully relaxed and on high alert at the exact same time. This, right here, is the biological root of performance anxiety. It's two competing arcs pulling your nervous system in completely opposite directions.
And it's not just fear, of course. Being hungry, feeling ashamed, worrying about what other people think, guilt, or just being flat out exhausted, all of these things generate their own motivational strain arcs that can interrupt or just completely shut down the sexual arc before it even gets going.
So what this really boils down to is that our brains have a built-in hierarchy, a pecking order. Arcs that have to do with immediate survival, like, avoiding danger or finding food, are almost always going to win the fight. Your brain is wired to make sure you live to see tomorrow before it starts worrying about anything else. And that's exactly why severe stress or hunger can just make your libido vanish.
This whole thing brings up a really interesting question, doesn't it? In our complicated lives, we're constantly starting these arcs that get interrupted. So, where does all that unresolved motivational energy actually go? Well, according to this model, the answer lies in our dreams.
Just think about it for a second. That argument you didn't get to finish, the little spark of attraction you couldn't act on, the anxiety you just had to push down to get through the day. All of that strain is just left hanging. So when you finally fall asleep, your brain has to sort through all that baggage.
Theories about dreams have been all over the map. Freud saw them as these disguised wishes from our subconscious. Jung thought they were symbolic messages pointing us toward personal growth. Modern neuroscience tends to focus on how they help us process memories. The Brain Kinematics Model, though, offers a completely different and way more dynamic point of view.
In the BKM, dreaming is basically the brain's nightly cleanup crew. It takes all those incomplete strain arcs from your day, all the fear, the social tension, the desire, the curiosity, and it lets them all interact and combine and resolve in those bizarre stories we call dreams. It's not about finding one single hidden meaning. It's about rebalancing the entire motivational system so you can start fresh the next day.
And this right here, this is where it all comes together. This is the core insight of the whole model. That arc, that buildup, that peak, and that release of strain, it isn't just for desire or for dreams. It turns out it's a universal pattern for how the brain releases almost any kind of tension.
This quote from the source material just nails it. The brain uses the same fundamental dynamic for all these incredibly different kinds of release. The powerful discharge of an orgasm literally follows the same pattern as that sudden discharge of understanding when you finally solve a problem and have that aha moment.
Just look at this. This slide lays it all out, side by side. Notice the pattern. For an orgasm, physical arousal builds to a climax. For creative insight, mental tension and confusion build to that sudden aha moment of clarity. For a good cry, emotional pressure builds and builds until you get that cathartic release. It's the same universal arc every single time. The content is different, sure, but the dynamic process? It's identical.
So, what does this all mean for you and me?
Well, it gives us a brand new map for understanding our own inner world, one that's based on these dynamic forces rather than just static labels.
So instead of thinking of your mind as like a container for thoughts and feelings, try picturing it as this living landscape of rising and falling energy arcs. Your minute-to-minute experience is just the result of these arcs competing, combining, and resolving inside you.
And these are the major players on that landscape. The need for safety, the need for food, the need for connection with others, for new information, for social standing. Every single one generates its own strain arc, and your behavior, your thoughts, your mood, it's all a product of how these arcs are interacting inside you right this second.
So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. Take a moment and really feel into your own inner landscape. What tensions are building up in you? What needs are calling out for release? Recognizing these arcs gives you a powerful new way to understand why you feel what you feel and why you do what you do. So which arc is dominant for you at this very moment?